You got all this baggage that you just keep carrying around because you're trying to prevent yourself from being hurt and damaged, and it's doing more damage than you can even understand. So you have to allow that seasonal transition to only last and cultivate and grow in that specific season, you know. Welcome back to another episode of And Another Thing, the podcast. I'm your host, as always, Devon Clark. Look, we need some sponsorships by now. Look, we need some sponsorships only on the 4th episode. If y'all know some sponsorships, definitely let me know how to start getting this all together. But welcome back to And Another Thing, the podcast. This is going phenomenal. Getting some awesome reviews so far by a lot of supporters. We really appreciate you. Make sure you download. You can find the podcast on all platforms as well too. Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, so on and so forth. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is your host again, Devon Clark, and let's jump right into it. So again, as always, this is the Growth Podcast. Like, this is a podcast that you send to your family, your friends, your cousins, your brothers, your nieces, your nephews, your sister that's going off to college, that's coming home from prison, that need to have some sort of foundation for growth. Where do we grow? Where do we grow from here, right? Not go from here, but where do we grow from here, right? And this episode, we're going to talk about letting go of seasonal transition, right? Or letting go. Right. And in particular, and I really want to talk about like how a few of us have allowed seasonal transition to last longer than expected. Right. Like some things were literally only supposed to last for seasons. They were supposed to help you transition, but you have allowed seasonal transitions to last extremely long. And that seasonal transition that you allowed to last, they became habits. They became ways that you are. You know, you ever heard someone say, or maybe even you say, I don't know, I'm just this way. Well, you might have been caught in that seasonal transition, like being a fish in the ocean, getting caught in that net, right? You allowed yourself to get caught in that net, right? And again, as always, things happen, unforeseen events, traumatic events that happen in our life, right? But as always, this podcast is the Growth Podcast. So we want to talk about, okay, it happened, right? I got caught in that fish's net. The transition happened. Okay, what should I do from here? And you seen in Nemo, right? Like they all got caught in that net, right? And it's not always like that, but just, for conversation purposes, they were swimming. And they pulled that down. What if they just allowed their life? What if they just allowed to be caught by it? And a lot of us are just allowing ourselves to just be caught by the net. A lot of us are allowing seasonal transition, right, to last longer than expected. What is seasonal transition? Well, my definition of seasonal transition are things that happen in seasons that are specifically here to transition you to another season, but certain things become so traumatic. Certain things become so impactful, right, to our lives that we allow that seasonal transition to last way longer than expected, right? Like maybe it might be a heartbreak. Some of us have not learned to love again since that seasonal transition. Since you have gotten cheated on, your partner stepped out on you, it has really damaged the way we have looked at the world, right? Maybe some of us have got dropped by a sports team, or maybe you were supposed to go pro, or maybe you were supposed to ABC X, Y, and Z, but you didn't, and it just changed the way that you looked at life, right? Or maybe like in the healthcare world, right? Or a test, or some sort of test, right? Whether if it's like real estate exam, or whether if it's like some sort of like NCLEX to become a nurse or whatever, right? like, we've allowed that season, those things to be so impactful to our life that, some of those things were just supposed to transition us to new seasons, right? And we're in these new seasons, but we still have that habit. We still have that negative way of thinking about the world, right? And a few of us I don't even expect great things no more from it, right? Like a few of us don't even expect to have great partners come into our life. We kind of expect people to just do us wrong. It's like, oh, okay, well, I expected that. That's why I did X, Y, and Z, because I had a feeling that A, B, and C could happen. I didn't know if A, B, C, and could happen, but I just already did X, Y, and Z because I felt like A, B, C could happen. So to prevent myself from getting hurt, I'm just going to go ahead and take away X, Y, and Z. And do you know how many friendships you are pushing away from that? Do you know how many good people that's supposed to be at your weddings, that's supposed to be, at your children's, how many godparents you probably have pushed away because you have allowed seasonal transition to last longer than it should have, right? Like you get, and I talked about it on my TikTok video on this one, right? You guys can go to TikTok as well too to kind of match up like the shorter version, but you get into the batter's box and it's like getting to the batter's box and just knowing that you're going to strike out automatically. And a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us are getting in these relationships kind of expecting them not to go great. And even if great is not always like, okay, well, I'm going to get married to this person. Sometimes great can just be like, yo, I had a really great connection with this person. It didn't work out for whatever reason. That's okay. But I learned a lot. I hope he or she does great in the rest of their life. And I'm going to continue my journey of finding myself. And right, like that might be success, right? Success is not always hitting the home runs, not all the time, right? In some cases, this might be just getting to first base or second. In some cases, you gotta really analyze which ones like are home runs that you should be trying to hit and which ones you should be trying to get to that, the first base or second base. It's all a part of strategy, right? But before even that, it's like, you have to first acknowledge that you have allowed seasonal transition to last way longer than it should have, right? And it's hurting you. It's hurting you in ways that you're not even, you've allowed it to last so long that you become subconscious to it. You've allowed seasonal transition. You've allowed seasonal transition to last so long that you don't even understand that, hey, what you're doing is traumatic to yourself, and what you're doing, the way that you're responding, the way that is becoming traumatic to other people around you, to people who you love, to people who think you are a great man or a great woman, and it's hurting. It's hurting everything that's great about you. And if you do not cut loose of that net right away, if you do not figure out how to neutralize allowing that seasonal transition to last a lifetime, it's gonna be a bumpy. It could be a bumpy road for you, right? It could be. So you got to first figure out, like, okay, is it me? And oftentimes it is. Oftentimes it is. I think we live in this societal culture where, sometimes we kind of, and me too. I'm talking to myself, right? Where I have noticed myself, attempting to figure out, where is this coming from? It can't be me. I've been so solid. I've been so this, I've been so that. But it's like, hey, Devon, did you even notice in the first 60 days of your connection with this person, how many times you've brought up traumatic experiences? Have you noticed how many times you've brought up negativity? I had somebody that's really close to me. I asked them a question. I said, hey, can you describe everybody around me? I just was interested. I wanted to, because they say the people who are around you, you're like if it's 4 millionaires around you, then you might be the fifth, right? Or if it's 4 people who talk about God, on a regular basis, you might be the 5th person talking about God and having God in your life, or right. So I wanted to just, see like, hey, what kind of people do you think I have in my life? I know the type of people I have, right, by the grace of God, but I just wanted to see if they observe, and they was explaining everybody like this, and this person's great like that, and when I got to me, I said, okay, describe me now. And they just like, you're a nice person. And what's crazy is I have the relationship with this person. I have the connection with this person. Everybody, and I'm like, I was just so confused as to like, oh, how could you not know a lot about me? But I realized that okay, I allow seasonal transition to last longer, and one seasonal transition that I allowed to last longer was this, gatekeeping who I am. I didn't allow people to experience me. I didn't allow myself to experience certain things because I was so afraid of, me getting cut, metaphorically speaking. I was so afraid of me getting hurt that like, nah, I'm good. You're not going to be able to know me. You're not going to, right? And I'm putting these people through all these hoops, and it's diminishing my great value that I do have, right? And this person kind of responded. We was talking, deeper that day. And this person said, hey, how come you show me your traumatic side before you show me your like great sides? And it was crazy. It's like, wow. And I'm thinking about it now. I've allowed seasonal transition to last way longer than it should have, because you do talk about your traumatic experiences a lot. And that goes for a lot of us. A lot of us do nag or just complain and just be Debbie Downers all day, every day, because we've allowed seasonal transition to last longer than it should have, right? Like that hurt that you went through when you was in 6th grade, when that guy didn't ask you to be his Valentine, you allowed that to last a lifetime, right? Or that hurt that that woman calls you your freshman or your sophomore year in high school, you've allowed that to last a lot longer than it should have, and now you don't even trust women, right? Or that hurt that parent gave you when you was 6 years old. Absolutely, 100%. Like the things that happened to us, right? It happened to us, right? But let's be a little bit optimistic. Did it happen to us or did it happen for us, right? And when you have that kind of mindset, you start to realize that you can never lose, right? You can never lose. It's only lessons and growth that you're growing through, right? Think about that movie Hitch. And Hitch, remember that scene that he had when he was back in college and, his girl was in a car with somebody else? Absolutely. That's a very traumatic experience for anybody to go through, right? To anybody to grow through. But if you allow that seasonal transition to last longer than expected, you know what I mean? He wanted to, he wanted to get so far away from that he wanted to help guys become better, right? Come in relationships, right? So when it came to him being in a relationship, it kind of was like he had to get to a point where he had to drop his guard. He had to get to a point where he had to, express his feelings for that woman. You know what I mean? When they was at that dating scene, right? He expressed his feelings. He finally was able to express his feelings, right? And that's what a lot of us have to do as well too. A lot of us have to get to that point in this seasonal transition where we drop our guard, where we take the cape off, right? Where where you drop the bricks because it's too heavy to wear. It's too heavy to have on your back. You got all this baggage that you just keep carrying around because you're trying to prevent yourself from being hurt and damaged, and it's doing more damage than you can evenly understand. So you have to allow that seasonal transition to only last and cultivate and grow in that specific season. Don't take the winter season to the summer. It's like taking snow to the summer. It just will not work. It just will not work. It physically, it just won't work. In the summertime when it's 80 and 90 degrees outside, you typically don't see ice on the ground from snow. You typically don't see, you typically don't see snowmen being made in the summer season, right? So you got to ask yourself, why are you doing that when it comes to your love life? Why are you doing that when it comes to jobs, contracts? Okay, cool. You lost the contract 3 years ago, right? For whatever reason, you may not have been ready, or you may have not, risen to the occasion, whatever the case may be. Okay, that's fine. That was 3 years ago. What about now? You've allowed seasonal transitions to dictate how your pockets look. Your pockets look how they look right now because you have allowed that seasonal transition to last way longer than it should have lasted. Okay, that's fine. Your family, your parents, they didn't set your girlfriend, your ex, whomever, they didn't set that foundation that you would have liked, but they gave the best that they had, possibly. And if that's the best that they have given you, then okay. And you just have to figure out a way to accept that. And that's one of the issues that you have as well, too. You don't want to accept certain things. You have to figure out a way to accept things that you cannot change, right? You have to control your emotions. You have to control the way that you respond. And you have to figure out a way to not allow seasonal transitions to last longer than they should, right? You got this. You got this. Analyze the circle around you, the people who are giving you your advice on a daily. Analyze the people who you spend your time with. Analyze the people who you like and you admire. Analyze, what are you doing on a daily, right? Break those bad habits. Good is on the way. Great, phenomenal is on the way. But you have to not allow seasonal transition to last longer than it should. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are beautiful. You are worthy. You will be a husband one day. You will be a wife one day. You will be a great mother one day. I know those things have happened and they changed you, but don't allow your past to dictate your future. And a lot of us are allowing our past, which is that seasonal transition, to dictate our future because it's lasting longer. Some things need to happen though, right? Like breakups. Some things just won't, it just won't be good for your soul, for your, for your daily, your mental on the daily, which is okay, right? But if you allow something that was supposed to last 2 days to last a lifetime, man, it's like in the Bible, right? And again, if you all know this Bible scripture, let me, definitely look it up or whatever the case may be. Because typically in TikTok, I tell them to drop it in the comments. But on the podcast, go to my TikTok and correct me because we're growing through this thing together. But, the children of Israelites, they were supposed to make an 11-day journey, right? And it lasted, 40 years? So 11-day journey lasted 40 years. Why? They was in the wilderness for 40 years. So how many of us are supposed to make 11-day journeys, right? Or let's just say a 2 months transitional, the seasonal transition, right? Something that was supposed to only last for 2 months, but we allowing it to last for 2 years, and you're wondering why you're having these symptoms of just being in your head and overthinking and this and the third. It's like you got to be aware that this is what you are allowing. You're not really angry. You're not really you're not a person who is irrational all the time. You just got so comfortable with chaos. You got so comfortable with things not going your way. You got so comfortable with defending yourself and fighting that you think that every little thing is war. When it comes to jobs, you arguing back and forth with your manager. You arguing back and forth with your leadership because you've allowed seasonal transition to last longer than it should have. You got to get off. You got to get off. You have to get off. You got to get off that bus. You got to, right? It's at your stop. Don't allow seasonal transition to last a lifetime. You got this. Do the work. See you next episode.